Of the Planning Board for August 1st, 2022. We have all 5 members of the Planning Board here this evening. Bob is virtual, so all votes this evening will be taken via roll call. We also have Joe Gianowitz, Town Planner, with us, and that's who you got. So this is an ad hoc meeting, making up some ground for a very short meeting that we had back on the 18th of July. As always, we start with open forum, so I'll go to Joe. Do you have anything for open forum?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Anything from the board for open forum?
Nope.
Bob?
Nope, nothing at this time.
Great. Anything from the audience for open forum? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into public hearing items. First and only public hearing tonight is PB 2218, site plan review for 164 Main Street. This is a new item before us. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing notice?
You opened it
Did we?
already, yeah.
No, we continued with no discussion. I don't think we opened. Did we open, Joe? No, it wasn't
okay.
opened. We continued with no discussion.
Okay.
Is there a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing notice?
Second.
Motion and a second to waive the reading of the public hearing notice. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Is there a motion to open PB 2218?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to open PB 2218. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And I say aye. Good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, attorney Melissa Robbins from the law firm of Farrell & Robbins. Also with me tonight is Jeff Morey from Morey Brothers General Contracting, Matt Stengel from Land Tech, and Jim Zegowitz, who's the project architect. What I'd like to do is just give the board a little overview. I know this still has to go out for engineering, so just give the board a little background of how we got here. Sure. And I want to thank the board again for having this meeting tonight as a courtesy. We do appreciate it and appreciate not being pushed off till September 19th, so thank you very much. I know it's not fun to get here sometimes on a summer night, so thank you for that.
No problem.
So we're here tonight for site plan review only. This project does not trigger stormwater. There's minimal site changes. We already have ZBA approval for this project under the conversion zoning bylaw. As this board knows, the conversion zoning bylaw allows for properties that were in existence prior to zoning to be converted to up to 4 units. This house was built in 1746, so this clearly meets the requirement of being compliant before zoning. The existing structure is located on about 2.19 acres of land. It's zoned RA. The proposal is to convert the existing project, the existing house, into 3 units. The number of bedrooms currently out there is 7, and we're proposing to keep the 7-unit system. So the number of bedrooms out here will not be expanded. The 3 units out there will be 2 2-bedroom units and 1 3-bedroom unit. We're proposing more than enough parking out there. We have 3 units. We're proposing 11 spaces. As part of the permitting with the Zoning Board of Appeals, we actually changed the project a little bit to keep the existing barn, and the existing barn will be retrofitted into 3 indoor parking spaces. The conversion will allow for the historic preservation of this structure, which would otherwise be economically infeasible, which is a requirement of the conversion zoning bylaw. We've been working with the Historic Commission throughout the zoning board process. We actually already made a change to the structure in order to keep a chimney and a fireplace that they wanted in the rear. We did get another round of comments from them for this application, and we'll be meeting with them on site. We scheduled a site visit on August 12th. I will let Mr. Zegowitz go into the historical features of this building in a little bit more detail in a moment. We did receive comments for this evening. Fire comments said this building must be sprinkled, and we know that will comply with all requirements that Lieutenant Parsons had pointed out in his comments. We also received comments from Matt Salem, the conservation agent. We've already filed for conservation. We'll be meeting with them on August 10th. And I noted already that we do not trip stormwater. But I would ask that after this hearing that this go out for engineering review just for compliance with site plan review standards. Other than that, I'll turn over to Matt Stengel from Land Tech just to give you a general overview of the civil issues.
All right, good evening. As Melissa was saying, there is minimal site work associated with the development. There will be a small addition there is a small addition proposed on the rear of the house, and then, as Melissa said, the conversion of the barn to a 3-car garage. We are proposing an expansion of the parking area that is located between the house and the barn. That will accommodate 6 parking spaces. 3 of those are going to be visitor parking spaces, and then also a 2 parking spaces, which are for the 3rd unit on the right-hand side of the building. We are also planning on repairing the septic system and updating the water service to connect to the public water service that's available in Main Street. And we will also be working with the Conservation Commission to restore a significant portion of the wetland buffer that's along the eastern side of the house. It's approximately 4,700 square feet of buffer restoration to allow that to just go back to native vegetation and to not be disturbed going forward. With the increase from 2 to 3 units, we estimate that there will be a total of 22 vehicle trip ends to and from the house on any given day, with two trip ends during both the AM and PM peak hours, which is less than the 20 trip end maximum for a traffic study. So we have not given a traffic study for the project. Then also, as Melissa said earlier, the disturbances were kept below 1 acre, and because it's a small residential development, we do not require stormwater management permit. Despite that, we have provided a few stormwater management BMPs on the site to help improve the water quality and peak rate runoffs. As I already mentioned, we will be restoring part of the wetland buffer, which will help to mitigate the peak rate flows for the runoff that goes towards the wetland. And then we are also proposing 2 infiltration trenches along the down gradient edge of the parking area, and also pea-stone gravel diaphragms along the smaller parking area in front of the building, and also along the existing basketball court in the backyard.
I forgot to point out that basketball court is actually existing. We did have some conversations with the neighbors when we opened the zoning board process, and the neighbor to the rear had asked if we could install some tree line buffer to the rear of that basketball court, just so that she could have a little bit more screening to that side. So you're seeing the trees that we had agreed to put on in the rear of that basketball court. It's also conditioned as part of the zoning board of appeals decision that won't be lighted.
Yep.
But it's a nice amenity to keep. It'll be a nice area in that backyard. It's a pretty big backyard with a nice play area in the back. The only comment I think that was open on the staff report was the existing easement, and would we be doing any further improvements to it? And no. The easement will still be used. The driveway's excellent. The fire department likes the throughway that way. And so we'll just be using the existing easement for a driveway. And that's already recorded, so it's nothing that we need further relief for. The only thing I'd like to do is just turn over to Mr. Zegowitz so he can just go through the historical nature of the building a little bit and the improvements we're going to make. I'm going to try the pointer again.
I am.
The orange button, don't push the red
Orange
button.
button, no red button, okay. Jim Zegowitz, I'm with the MZO Group Architects out of Main Street in Stoneham. Excuse me, my remote office right over here on Carlisle Road. What can I tell you about this building other than already has been told you? Guys, you must drive by it every day, as I have since I moved here when I was 1. Great old house. I've always wondered what was inside it, so it was kind of cool to pick it up and be able to be associated with this project. A couple other things about it, some quick stats. The first floor of the building, it's kind of a crazy old building. I think there's, was it as an existing 2-family or something right now?
It's a 1-bedroom, it's a single-family home with an apartment that they've also used for boarding.
You go around the house and there's closets that have sinks in it and little corners that there's a kitchenette in it, and there's just there's rooms all over the place. But first floor, there's 10 rooms. Second floor, there's 9 rooms. And there's a couple more rooms up in the attic with another kitchen and bathroom up there. So 21 rooms in total. There's 4 kitchens that I counted, 7 fireplaces, and the grand total of square footage of the building is about 5,940 square feet. It's a pretty big house. So splitting it into 3 units is actually fairly straightforward. Let's go to the plan. Is it just down? Oh, down a couple.
Another one, yeah.
Okay, so the way these plans are organized, that you'll see as we run through these things, is that in the floor plan drawings, the existing conditions plan is in the upper right. Our proposed is in the lower left. That also shows the existing conditions in it. It's basically the base of a demo plan. You'll see the dash lines on walls that are either a ceiling line or it's something that's existing that's going to be removed. In contacting or getting in touch with the Historic Commission, we brought them out there, had a great meeting with Mr. Geprod. We went through our initial proposal was to, on the left-hand side of the building, to remove that big chimney right there. It's probably easier over there. Yeah, anyways, that big chimney, and it seemed like that was a pretty important feature for the Historic Commission. Having been on the Historic Commission myself for about 5 years, or I can't even remember how long, but I knew that was coming. But it's interesting that fireplace looks a little different. To me, it looks like it's been modified, but I was assured it really hasn't been, and it's better that we keep it. So working with our client, no problem, let's keep it. The problem it did pose is that we were trying to get everything within the existing footprint of the building. And it just kind of squeezed some circulation space, and you'll see behind that fireplace there's a little dining area and a major part of the living room there. So we requested that could we push the building out 4 feet. That limited us to less than 100 square feet of additional footprint on the building. Didn't think it was that big of an ask, and the Historic Commission was certainly in favor of us doing so to maintain some of those historic assets in the front of the building. So as you can see, some of those dark lines, the building basically separates into 3 pieces, three units. There's a dark dash line running next to the staircase all the way to the left, and behind the building, between the staircase and the rear unit. So they're 3 very easily self-contained units. We'll be doing some serious reconstruction on the interior, but those 3 lines provide us great opportunity to bring a clean firewall separation down to the basement floor, which we'll have to do. We'll have to get all the way through to the slab or some sort of solid surface in the basement. There are some dirt areas right now. We'll have to put some slabs in there. But to get the fire separations all the way up through to the underside of the roof sheet, those provide some pretty good lines. Let's go to the next one. So that's the proposed first floor plan. It just shows you a better indication of what the units are. We go A to C, working left to right. On the first floor of every unit, that's going to be the living space, kitchen space, like a typical house. Second floor would always be the bedrooms. And in 2 of the units, we have a little bit of space up in the attic to provide some spillover space. What else can I tell you? I think the way we designed it, I mean, the main design intent there was to, again, work with the existing historic conditions of the building. And the primaries are those fireplaces around the center of the building. And in this design, we don't intend to disrupt any of that stuff. In this design, we don't intend to disrupt much of the front parlors. I know, speaking with David and other members of the Historic Commission, those things are super huge, very important. And I think we will be able to maintain those things for the most part. I'd be cautioned, again, I was just meeting with them on 124 a few minutes ago, but I did caution them that during the process of renovations, we will have to get new services, new electrical, plumbing, heating, everything else through those walls, insulation. So some of the stuff might have to be touched up a little bit, but it's certainly not our intent to remove any of that stuff in wholesale. We want to use those features that are already coming with the house as part of the selling point later on down the road. When most of that stuff is still intact and preserved, I think it's going to be a great asset, great selling point for us to point to. think that's really about it. As far as the attic space goes, there's only really one glaring issue that we saw walking through the place. Yeah, there's 246 years of maintenance and some things that will need to be addressed. But there is one of the main roof girts is cracked, so we'll have to either sister that or jack and support it, replace it. I'm not quite sure what's going to be the easiest way to do that. But everything else seems to be fairly well intact. Having lived in one that's 15 years, it's junior, I know what's going to happen when we open these walls. We're going to find things that we weren't expecting, we're going to have to deal with. But again, it's a great historic commission to work with here. So they seem pretty reasonable and understanding when we hit those kind of things. And we certainly intend to keep them appraised all the way through the project. I think that's it. Let's see. Great.
Oh, and I'll just point out that the fireplace issue came up during the zoning board process. The zoning board did approve the floor plan with that bump out and supported the historic keeping of that additional fireplace. And the only other thing that the zoning board conditioned was that there be no bedrooms on the existing structure in the third floor, and that's already a condition of the zoning board permit. So any of those master bedrooms or anything out there will be coming out. This will just be spillover space. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Great, thank you. Joe, any comments from town staff before we go for board comments?
Nothing that hasn't been said already.
Awesome. Well, I did want to take a moment, Joe, if you can get word back to the ZBA. I did, in reading through the packet this weekend, I did think their conditions of approval were quite good. So I think giving them a tip of the cap and say, nice job on the approval for that. So with that, I guess let's go to the board for comments. I don't know if anybody would like to dive in and start. Darren, would you care to start?
Yeah, I'm sure. I like the project, looks great. I like how you're keeping the character of the house and looking forward to seeing it and seeing engineers' comments, so it looks great.
Great, thanks. Mike?
I like the project. All I have.
Great, thanks, Mike. Kate?
I think it's great what you're doing, and I think you're fortunate the house is such a funky shape that I'm impressed at how you can divide it so nicely into three. And so that's great, and thanks for working with the Historic Commission. This is for town. On the town's GIS, they have a swimming pool showing up in the wetlands.
It's still a matter of debate. Some people think that pool exists, some people don't think that pool exists, but by the end of this project, the pool will not exist.
It did exist. I've been in that pool.
Yes, Mr. Bonifant thinks the pool exists, but whatever form it is in right now, it will no longer be.
Okay. And the building, whatever his title is, Henry,
Commissioner, yep.
Commissioner, yeah, he had mentioned that the basketball court had to go, but it gets to stay because it's grandfathered so long.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the zoning board approved it in its current location with the conditions.
Okay, I was wondering if that was in their conditions.
Yes.
Okay, and because you have 2 new units, on all the plans, you have the nice walkway, the existing walkway from the barn to the house. But I'd like to find out how you're going to get walkways to units B and C so that they can safely go from the barn to their entrances.
Mm-hmm. They don't show up on the site plan, but we can add that detail on the final
I'm
plan
just
set so you can
curious,
see.
how's it going to happen? Because they're so far away.
And originally, we wanted to bump up those visitor parking spaces so they could be almost next to that end unit so that it could be a closer proximity. But given the location of the wetlands, and it would be a very weird turnaround for the fire department, we ended up taking it out and moving it back up to the street level. So that's why whoever's at that end unit's going to have the longest walk to their parking. Yeah.
Good exercise. So there's no work on the driveway easement. Don't have to worry about the basketball court. Got tree line on the plan. Just something for the when you do write the draft conditions and under the findings. I know there's no traffic increase, and I can understand why you wrote that. But since technically it's going from 2 units to 3, it's a real marginal or insignificant traffic increase that is probably or negligible. It's probably a better word. just rather than none. On the soil report, it mentioned that the soil might have some drainage issues, because it said it was very slowly draining and such, so I think when staff reviews it, just make sure that everything's copacetic with a septic system. And also, on your plans, you have that an open drainage system or a soil absorption system over the leach field, and I was curious from engineering, since the soil does have some percolation issues, if that's going to be okay. And then in your documentation, you mention on the infiltration trenches that they clog easily and that they should be cleaned out every 6 months or so. And this is a 3-unit thing, and I know they're not going to do it. So I was just wondering if there's an alternative to infiltration trenches that might require less maintenance, because they're not going to do it, be honest.
Well, the good news about this, Mr. Chair, if I may, is that this will actually be a condo association and a small condo association. In my experience with condo associations, there's always one person that's pretty good about being the rule follower, enforcing the rules. So I do expect that there'll be maintenance, and now the town requires that all O&Ms get recorded, and that the purchasers must sign off on a covenant, some sort of acknowledgement that they know that there's an O&M and these have to be maintained. So there is a lot of more checks and balances than there used to be. And because this is a condo association, you have belts and suspenders.
Yeah, but it's different if it's like 20 units, where, you can see it happening. So I was just curious if you could think about it.
See if there's something that's lower maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all I had.
Hey, thanks, Kate. Bob, do you have comments about 164 Main Street?
Yes. I guess having been a past member with Jim on the Historic Commission, the Historic has got my biggest concern here. I'm a little confused regarding the Historic Commission letter. I understand from the package, I can see the preservation of the footprint, but I read in the letter about preservation of the facade, and I'm a little confused by that, because it looks like there's some alteration of the facade, and I was just wanted to understand how much of this structure is being preserved, and because it looks like there's some disruption of that facade, and I want to make sure that the Historic Commission actually saw what this building was going to look like before and after. Can I get clarification on that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I can let Jim speak to it as well, but we met with the zoning board we met with the Historic Commission through the zoning board process, and they actually supported us with the addition onto the back of that building. So they've seen the layout and the design as well as the site plans. I was a little surprised as well to get their repeat comments with some of their additional concerns. That's why we set up a site visit with them on August 12th. There will be some structural changes, especially going towards Unit C, where there's some outside facade wall issues, some fatigue in the walls that will have to be changed. And I think that the site walk with the entire commission will help flesh that out some more. So we are working right now with the Historic Commission, because we would like the final plan of the planning board and the architectural plans to be the final plans for the Historic Commission as well. So given that we have till September 19th to tie that up, I'm hoping that we'll be done with the Historic Commission with their issues as well. And I can keep the board copied on all the correspondence with them, just so you can be in the loop.
That would be great. Thanks. Bob?
Yeah, I guess I draw particular attention to, I looked at the front elevation on page 63 of the packet, and it just seemed to be a significant alteration of some aspects of that, from the photo, and that was my concern, maintaining that. I don't have as much concern about, the alteration in the back. It was, I just draw attention to the front, and the drawing just seemed to indicate a significant a change. I did notice that it did preserve the style of the clapboard that was asked to be preserved, so that was my concern. The other concern I have is looking at the site plan. I appreciate the driveway with the 6 spaces with the access to the garage. but the two parking spaces directly on Main Street just appear to be, could be problematic. That's a section of Main Street with not great sight distance. It's fairly busy. And I was just wondering if there's anything that could be done to improve the ability for cars that might use those two spaces to get out onto Main Street safely.
I can answer that, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So there was actually a turnaround. I'm sorry, Mr. Schaefer, would you first like Mr. Zegowitz to respond to the wall issue? Because he's prepared to answer that if you'd like a quick answer.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's do
Hey,
it.
Bob. So, one thing to keep in mind is that if you look at the rendering right here that's up on the screen,
The main one, the first
the
page.
first one, the colored rendering, that has our pre-discussion with the Historic Commission design in it. So that rendering right there shows the chimney that's behind it gone, stashed in very lightly right there. Shows a different window arrangement that's, you can barely see it dashed in right there. That's great. And the porch that we intend to have, it's gonna demarcate the third unit's front entrance. They saw those drawings at the same time we went out there for the sidewalk, so they were familiar with our initial design. After discussing the project with them and that we were intending to take down that fireplace, the main concern for them was to keep the fireplace, not even necessarily the chimney, but keep the fireplace and the foundation of the fireplace and everything else intact. When discussed with them that we would need an additional space out the back, that didn't seem to be a big concern at all. They were fully willing to make that trade, and so we did. In doing so, if we tried to go any further out the back, we were going to raise the roof a lot. And I did point that out to them, that the existing configuration of the building, if you go to the black and white drawings, let's see if we can shoot down there real quick. The side elevation shows, way down the bottom, there's 5. Right there, 4.1, that's it. So the upper drawings are the existing conditions and the lower drawings are the proposed conditions. You'll see that the same shape, we've incorporated the same shape that currently exists there, however, we've raised it up about 4 feet. That was brought clearly to their attention, and they said that's no problem as long as you're keeping the fireplace and all that kind of stuff. They're fully willing to work with us. So that's how we got where we are, and I would be shocked if they said otherwise. I was just with them about 20 minutes ago, and they know this is all coming.
Yep.
If you're keeping the fireplace, what's going to prevent somebody from trying to do a fire?
I don't know if we're gonna make it operable or not. I would vote for not, but hopefully the owners, when notified that that's a non-operable fireplace, will try not to build a fire in there.
Okay.
Just as to the parking spaces as well, there was an original, for lack of a better term, turnaround, pull-off space right all the way to the right side of you can see it right there, it's like hatched out. But it juts into the wetland resource area. You can see it right there. So we're actually going to remove that portion of pavement to try to replace this faux little parking space and to add a little bit more parking. We've actually moved it further up into the driveway so the cars can actually pull up the driveway, pull into these spaces and pull out. And it's much further away from the resource area, so it served 2 purposes. That the building commissioner and I think Lieutenant Parsons pointed that out right away, that they didn't think that was a safe condition. So that's why those 2 spaces are kind of tucked up there. We'll just make sure, we'll do one more turn analysis to make sure that they have plenty of room to pull in and out, but that's why they're in that location now.
And they aren't directly on Main Street, they're in the driveway.
Oh, yes, yeah, they're in the U
Well,
of the
I thought they were
driveway, so they
on
don't have
Main
to back
Street.
out onto the street.
Right.
The original pull-off kind of did pull off into the street. So I don't know if there's that black cross hatch is actually to be removed. That pavement's going, and the parking spaces were moved further up, so they were in a safer location that didn't interfere with the other parking area.
Bob, did you get all that?
Yeah, I did. I'm still confused. I don't think we've addressed my concern regarding the safety of pulling out from those spaces. It looks to be directly on.
They're not, Bob, those spaces are on the driveway part. And no, it kind of looks like it's Main Street, but they're actually part of the driveway.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, the crosshatched section is there today, and it will be removed.
I think it's a note, it's not noted on that sheet, but I think on another sheet it says
is.
area to be removed.
So they're moving it up like
There it is.
20 feet.
Yeah, they're moving it deeper into the driveway.
Yes.
Yeah, there's still, I guess I'm looking at another little piece of that driveway that's right on Main Street.
That's going.
Maybe he's,
And what's that? Is that just gonna?
Are you looking
stay
at
there?
page 10, Bob, of the packet?
I'm looking at page 10 of the packet.
Okay, so I think, so Main Street is actually further away from that big black line. That shaded area is actually the driveway that's there.
Yeah, and I guess, I guess it's one, I see one space or something. I don't know what that is.
That's the part that's gonna be removed on the far right, then it says 2 spaces, those are the actual new spaces.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The far right gets removed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
The zoning board didn't like that either. So that is proposed to be removed.
Bob, any other comments on 164 from you?
I'm good.
You're
I'm
good?
fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll echo, I think this has potential to be a great project. It looks awesome. Some of my questions regarding the historic, I think we covered, so I guess I'll ask it in my way. So when you're talking about the elevation on the front, if we go back to the rendering of what the house will look like? Yeah. So you're raising the elevation of the section that is left of the frontmost piece, right? You're raising the roof line on the left side as I look at this image, right? Because
No.
okay, then I'm
I got this
confused.
right here, right?
Because if you go back to the,
So I think that's, if you go
It's the one
forward,
on the
they
right.
changed it.
The one on the right.
you're raising the, right, so I have a question. Can you go back to the picture of the current property? There was a photo we looked at early in the packet that had a picture of it currently and
It's all the way
of
to
what
the
it will
end.
be. So I guess what I'm confused at is when I look at the front of the house now, the roof line does not, well, that's not the one I was thinking.
that shows it, I think, though.
Yes, right, top left. Is actually what we're doing. Yeah, that's it right there.
That's the back of the house.
That's the front.
That's the
But
front.
Joe, way earlier in the packet.
That's the
Let me see if I can
front
find
to the
it.
right-hand side. Right
See if I
there.
can find
I know
it.
what you're talking about, I'll find it for you.
There's a, yeah, there's something that we had up earlier that showed current and what it will be.
There you go. Right there.
That one. No.
Nope, they were color. Nope. We literally just had it up.
I think that was on the first page of our
Yep.
PowerPoint presentation.
It was.
Oh, page 49 in the packet, maybe?
Nope, it was the first of your PowerPoint
There's a
presentation.
colored layer tech drawing and then
first-
that one.
More- There you go.
That. Okay, so as I look at those two pictures in the upper right corner, right, the roof lines don't match from the left section to the center section, and on your rendering, they're even. It's the roof line is even, which is giving me the impression that you're raising the roof line on the left-hand section. Does that make sense?
It does,
Okay, but you're not.
but we're not.
No, it just looks like it in the
It's a-
rendering.
Yeah,
Translates
it's a
on the
parallax.
image.
You're out in the street and you're 10 feet lower than the building taking a picture.
Okay,
The rendering is an orthogonal drawing, it's just dead straight. So
Got
the
it.
ridges are actually, if you look at the side elevation drawings, the ridges are actually almost exactly the same height.
okay.
It's just back further, it's not flush
The
with it.
photograph was taken from out in the street and.
Looking, okay, got it.
It's a
So
different
it's a
angle.
trick, it's a camera trick is what's causing the bottom photo to look that way. Okay, so you're raising the roof line on the right section. The siding, so Mr. Gutbrod's letter was very particular in his wording around the siding. He seemed to almost indicate that he'd prefer the main or center, the oldest section be very traditional with its siding, and he seemed to not care as much if the newer sections looked similar, looked different, but not sided the same. What is the intention with the siding?
Oh,
Is it all gonna be sided the same, period?
It's gonna look almost the same, but we're gonna use different materials. I'm not quite sure, red cedar is gonna be cost effective, but I think we can achieve the same look with something new, composite, another kind of wood, something like that. And we would definitely discuss that with the commission next week.
Okay.
One of the biggest things what they're looking for is if you look at the bottom of the houses, there's some other close-up photos, and you see a lot around these old houses, there's a graduated siding.
Yep.
The exposure starts at like 2 inches.
Yep.
And by the time you get up to the windowsills, it's up about 4.5 or 5.
Yep.
And I think that's what he's very concerned about, or one of the things he's concerned about.
Yeah.
And we would certainly endeavor
Yep.
to do the same.
He also had a list of areas. I was looking for that photo, which I wasn't going to find, and now I've lost my spot. Give me 1 second. He had a list of sections of the building. Let's see. Front facade, including matching siding, fenestration, front portico, front step, contributing architectural details, yada, yada, yada. Are all those things going to be maintained?
Pretty much. The steps are not. We'll probably reuse the stones that are there.
Yeah.
But if you were to ever go up those old
Yeah.
buildings, you have 12 inches before you hit the front door.
Sure.
So if you step back, you're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
I think code mandates that we have about 42 inches at those landings. We'll take those stones and reuse them and recreate this stuff, and we'll definitely incorporate anything like that, any of the stones that we have to take out or move, we
Yep.
will reincorporate them
Okay.
to the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we're aware of their comments, and we're definitely gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's summarized, I guess, right before he discusses in his letter avoiding triggering, a demolition delay the demolition delay bylaw. So he's requesting a written document plotting the details of the preservation plan. Is the intention then to work with them on that and provide them with a written plan
Yes.
for that?
Yeah, we'll have a detailed construction with the Historic Commission so they can understand what exactly we're going to maintain. And the only deviation from that is Mr. Zegowitz has pointed out, if we get into the construction and have to replace a wall, like we're dealing with at 124 Main Street, or find that there's not a foundation under a certain portion of the building, some of those would then have to be altered. But even with that project, we bring in historic before we did any work.
Great.
So we are trying, on especially these conversion projects, we're trying to include historic throughout the entire process so that it's completed in the way that they want it.
Yep. Okay, great. I mean, I guess that's what at least I'll be looking for. Sounds like Bob as well, and I'm sure Kate as well, is, if we're hearing this again September 19th,
Right.
some sort of doesn't have to be nearly as lengthy a note, but some sort of a letter from Mr. Gutbrod indicating that Historic has signed off on the project and is good to go. It seems like a number of the board members want to have the assurance that Historic is on board with the project. Assuming that that's all good, I don't think it doesn't sound like any of us have any issues with the project and think it's a good project, so.
That's our intention as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're trying to meet with them early on, so by the time we get to September 19th, it can be buttoned up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, I think we're done with board comments, so we can go to anybody in the audience who's here to comment on 164 Main Street. Okay. Seeing none, then, unless anybody on the board has other comments, I guess you want to come back September 19th then?
Yes, and the only thing I would ask, and I generally wouldn't, but we have a month and a half, is that I know this is going out to engineering, but we could also ask staff if they have time to start a draft decision.
Yeah.
If we have a pretty clean engineering letter or can get it clean between now and then and deal with historic comments, I think we would be ready to look at it at the September 19th meeting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please. Joe, that'd be good if we can have a letter or a draft decision ready to go to review in the packet for the 19th. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Motion then to continue PB 2218 for 164 Main Street to the September 19th meeting of the Planning Board, 7 p.m. here in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy August.
And just of record, I grant an extension of time for any applicable timeframes as well.
Thank you.
If any of them, and I'll send you something in writing tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes our public hearing items. We move into general business, and the first item under general business is, looks like we need to consider rescheduling our October 17th meeting because it conflicts with special town meeting. Joe?
Yes, correct. Now that special town meeting date has been set for October 17th, it conflicts with the board's schedule. We did have a call with the town moderator today. She felt pretty comfortable thinking that the next week, October 24th, would be a safe date to reschedule the planning board's meeting to the, if special town meeting was to go to a different date, usually it's either the following day or the day after, so either the Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep.
Did look a little bit before as to, is special town meeting usually on Monday? Is this a unique thing? The last couple of years, I guess during COVID, it has been on Saturday, but prior to that, looking all the way back to 2013, it's traditionally been on the Monday. So that's the update on that. So
So we were supposed to be, what, the October 3rd and 17th?
Yeah.
correct.
And you're proposing October 3rd and 24th?
Yeah, because there would be still an additional week because 31 days in
Halloween.
October.
Yeah, we'd have
So-
a 2-week break before the 7th.
So instead of going 2 weeks and then 3 weeks in between meeting, you're going 3 weeks and then 2 weeks.
Yep, yep. Yeah, that's fine.
Works for me.
Yeah, it works for me at this point. I'm traveling in October for work. I don't have the week nailed down yet, but I'll let you know well in advance of that, but I think it sounds good. Do we need to take a vote on that?
Couldn't hurt to, and if we, for some reason, special town meeting goes really long or whatever.
Sure.
We could always look to reschedule that.
Okay.
I move that we reschedule our October 17th meeting to October 24th at 7 PM here at Town Hall unless otherwise noted.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right. Next general business topic, topic B, is PB 2201 for 5 Makepeace Road. We need to vote to establish a 53G account in the amount of $2,500 to secure traffic engineering peer review services. Joe?
Yep, so as the board knows, the engineering department has been looking at Makepeace, looking at revisions. They kind of want a sanity check on a couple traffic items.
Okay.
The applicant has agreed to the consultant, the dollar amount from the quotes that the engineering department received. So the board would just need to take a vote for us to establish that account so that TEC can do their review and get back to both the applicant and the town.
Got it. Great. Just to ask, are you guys here for the 5 Makepeace Road? No. Okay. Great. Any discussion amongst the board on item B under general business?
Straightforward.
So move. Second, whatever.
All right, Kate has put forward a motion to establish a 53G account in the amount of $2,500 for traffic engineering peer review services for PB 2201. Is there a second?
There's a second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say
Poor
aye.
Bob, you always start with him, then he has to find his unmute button.
He should know it's coming. I got to keep Bob on his toes. It's early there. All right, PB 2215. Okay, this has to do with Parker Landing, and we have been requested to approve Form G, establish the performance bond, and endorse plans. Joe.
Right, so in that order, we would be good to have a vote to accept the Form G. It has been reviewed by the engineering department. The applicant made the revisions, so now engineering is happy with the dollar amount that's in there. So the vote would be to accept the Form G as it is, then a vote to establish the bond, and then a vote to endorse the plans. The plans have been reviewed, again, by engineering. They're happy with all the changes that were made from the time that was approved by the board just a couple of months ago, I think, at this point. So seems like everything is in order.
Great.
All outstanding comments have been addressed and incorporated in the plan, right?
Yeah, engineering was happy with the plans that they got back with the revisions. So.
Are you folks here for Parker Landing? Yes. Do you have comments to make? No. No? Oh, okay.
They
Fantastic.
just want us to approve this.
Exactly. Yeah, got it. All right, fair enough.
Waiting for you to sign.
Fair enough. Okay. Is there any discussion amongst the board on this, these
No.
items? Otherwise, we can start putting forward motions.
Yeah.
You want to make a motion here? Let's see. For PB 2215, SP Flex Special Development Modification for 85 Carlisle Road, Parker Landing, I move that we approve the Form G.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve Form G for PB 2215. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye.
PB 2215, 85 Carlisle Road, Parker Landing, I move that we establish the performance bond for the project. How we do it?
We have to throw the amount in there. Let me get
In the
down to
amount?
it.
The amount in the Form G, the 133,327.
Sorry, 133,
327.
327.
Second.
Motion and a second to establish the performance bond for 133,327.
133,327. Yes.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye.
PB 2215, 85 Carlisle Road, Parker Landing, I move that we endorse the new set of plans that have been approved by engineering.
Second.
Motion and a second to endorse the plans. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye,
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Great.
there you go.
We will sign these.
We
at
sign
the-
them after the
at the end of the
meeting's
meeting,
over.
so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yep, you as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for sitting through everything.
No worries.
All right, we are home stretch now. General business, topic D, we have a discussion about possible zoning bylaw amendments, potential changes to accessory dwelling units, section 3.3. And I did look through these, and Joe, it looked like most of these were related to the discussion that we had late June, or first meeting in July, I think, on this topic, right?
Yeah, so there's, been some changes throughout looking at some changes to this bylaw. Tried to color coordinate and try to make things as clear as we could, given that this board and the zoning board have been kind of kicking around some proposed changes. So I think in blue here were the suggestions made by the board during the last meeting. Red without a strike through is what the new language is. The red strike through is what would be removed. The green is some changes that the zoning board most recently proposed at their last meeting. So a couple of these, it'd be good to get the board's feedback on whether or not you agree, don't agree, somewhere in the middle. Some of these might be, kind of really different from what has happened in the past, and we can kind of run through those really quickly and then kind of get your temperature on them, I suppose.
Sure.
So the first one is under 3.3.3, item number 1. So they wanted to potentially remove the mortgage inspection plan option, I guess, if you will. So that way, every single application, whether or not it's just the existing structure with interior changes, otherwise no changes to the structure, or whether or not it was an addition, everybody is required to submit a certified plot plan. Each option has pros and cons, but it would be kind of a policy change around this type of application.
But we don't require mortgage inspection surveys for other kinds of additions and things like that, do we?
Usually we require a plot plan for an addition, somebody putting an addition on their home.
Yeah, but not a mortgage, not that mortgage
Right.
inspection.
So this was,
The question is do we need a certified plot plan for a dwelling that's already, if they're not changing outside of it?
Right.
so if they're not
Why
putting an
require these
addition
people
on.
to time and expense to get a plot plan when if there's no changes?
Right.
Why did the zoning board want that to be the case?
I guess on the pro side of it, there could be some, application consistency. You're looking at the same thing each time.
Yeah.
If for some reason between the mortgage inspection plan and what you have today, there was some sort of change to the property, this new certified plot plan would pick it up and see if there was any kind of other non-conformity on the property that perhaps they could address at that meeting, or the applicant would have to file something in addition to the special permit for an accessory dwelling. So I guess, from that perspective, they could kind of help in a way to kind of get a more clear picture of what's out there today in some circumstances, and is there something else going on that we wouldn't otherwise know by getting a mortgage inspection plan. I think that was the thinking behind it. On the flip
Good
side,
foresight.
there might not be any kind of construction otherwise going on, so it's just all in the existing structure, or it could be, if you had like a old carriage house or something like that that's getting converted, nothing else changing on the property. So that, it is an expense to get a certified plot plan and time, depending on who your surveyor is, what their schedule is, et cetera. So pros and cons either way, but, that was one thing they were considering.
Got it.
And then they were interested in having applicants be required to go seek a Board of Health as opposed to encouraged. That might get into a jurisdictional kind of issue by trying to make it a requirement versus encouraged to do it. Folks would need to go get their Title V certification anyway. I think their thinking was get them in front of Board of Health earlier rather than later, in case there are issues with soils or what have you, that you've spent a bunch of time investing going in front of a land use board, and then just to find out, your soils aren't what you thought they were.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
I think that was the thought.
I don't agree with that one either, because what is it going to be part of the application? You need a note from Board of Health that you went and saw them? I think that anybody who's going to do any of this is going to know, I think it should be outlined in the package that they going to need Board of Health approval, because Board of Health's going to sign the building permit anyway.
So that could be something to add to, say, an application.
Put it on the
versus-
application,
Yeah.
make sure you
in the
see Board of
bylaw.
Health, but to require this, that really, okay, you have to do it, but how do we prove they did it or didn't do it, right?
Right, so maybe
I think
that's,
it's obviously good to advise them to do it beforehand, because Board of Health's gonna get involved eventually anyway.
And it's like anything, like we approve plans without Board of Health recommendation. They have to get it before they can build the house.
Right,
So,
right, I mean, they're gonna have to, exactly. So,
maybe it's just something to put more upfront in an application, say, versus putting it in a bylaw.
right, and I know, like, you have it for the forms for, application for an ADU, right? A checklist of what you need to do. Now, it could be, we suggest you go to Board of Health to make sure it's gonna be feasible. But again, to put it in the,
Yeah.
I don't know that it's necessary.
It seems like this one we want to keep encouraged versus required.
yeah, because they're going to be increasing the number of bedrooms, so they have to
Oh, they
go.
could, or they're definitely increasing rooms.
Yeah,
no, no, it's bedrooms.
but it's the bedroom count that affects
Rooms
the
count too.
septic.
Yeah, rooms count too. You can't have so many rooms in bedrooms, but, again, it could be an issue with Board of Health, and probably most of the time it is, so it's encouraged, but again, requiring. I don't know.
So then, this was the item that we kind of talked about last time about town
I'm sorry,
council.
just on that, is a happy middle ground strongly advised? So is somewhere in between encouraged
Yeah.
and required?
Sure, I think that's definitely a possibility. You could change it to
Yeah.
strongly advised.
Okay.
Then,
Yeah,
Go
go ahead. I had a question on number 1, but you're going to talk about it first. On 334.
Oh, yeah, so this got back to town council's input on adding clarification to this section, so that's where the gross floor area footprint or height came into play. From the last edition, the zoning board suggested removing height and removing number 3 on appearance, because they figured during the special permit process, they would get into the design of the house and what it would look like, so height would be less of a concern. Also thinking about working with the existing structure, the portion that they're changing to the ADU, maybe that just happens to be a taller portion of the house than, a different section of the house. So then you have the primary unit being shorter than the accessory, but the structure's not really changing, it's all interior work. Or you have, again, like say, like a carriage house and like a ranch, and the ADU happens to be the taller structure of the two, so there could be some nuance in there. So they suggest removing height,
Okay.
just keeping it to gross floor area or footprint. I guess you had a question.
I had one on number 1, the limit. I mean, I understand the 900 square feet, but and then I don't know who put this in, and shall not exceed the gross floor area or footprint of the primary dwelling unit. So if, say, the primary dwelling unit is only going to be like 800 square feet, this then says that the accessory one can't be more than 800 square feet.
Correct, the way it would read, yeah.
So a person can't decide they would like to live in a smaller portion and kind of build a smaller one for themselves and make the larger one.
So whoever the owner is, they could live in the accessory dwelling unit. Just this reads that the accessory dwelling unit can't be a larger square footage, essentially, than the primary dwelling unit. So they could both be 800 in
Yeah.
that example. Or there could be a 900 and an 800. The 900's the primary.
Or like they're adding, say their existing is 1,200 and they're adding one that's 900 and they want to live in the 900.
They could do that.
Does the primary one is the primary one by definition the one that the owner lives in?
No.
No, it's the original.
Okay, that's, okay. Alrighty, so I just wanted clarification.
Sure.
And you explained why number 3 got deleted, so number 4 is now really number 3.
Correct.
And I think that's all I had in that section.
And then, and then this was the question we asked of council at 335B, whether to change the word but to and. We did get input back from council that they didn't see any legal distinction between making that but-or and it would still get the same point across. So the board felt strongly versus, using one word versus another. We could certainly make it and, but it wouldn't have any legal distinction between.
Oh, yeah, we did ask about this.
So the new owner has to file an affidavit about the continuation of the accessory dwelling unit, or say number A or number B lapses. What happened if the special permit lapses?
Then we have to file for a new special.
Yeah, no, but what if they don't? I mean, what happens to that accessory dwelling unit? Does this place now get redesignated as a single-family home with no accessory and they can't rent it?
Unless they go and get a new special permit.
Just because I don't see anything, I like it, I like all this changes, the way it's done, I just don't see anything in here about termination.
So the last sentence on A, failure to submit shall terminate the special permit, require a new special permit. So that's what that's trying to capture there.
So they could keep it and use it, they're having a big party and they use all the extra stove and things like that, so they don't have to remove anything that makes it habitable as a second unit.
I mean,
They don't need to remove any kitchen stuff or
not necessarily. I mean, you
to make
can,
it a complete unit.
you can have multiple kitchens in your single-family home. But, that being said, there might have to be some tweaks if there was some sort of separation, I guess, of units. I could see that happening, but.
Should there be, is this something that would trigger something submitted to the Registry of Deeds?
That's the idea, is that.
So should we have a termination thing that would trigger something to the Registry of Deeds?
Yeah,
Well, if I may, Joe, I think that once the decision is recorded, it states in the decision that's recorded in the Registry of Deeds that it's specific for that owner. And unless it's renewed, then that expires with the owner at the Registry of Deeds. So if I'm an attorney and I'm going to go and my clients are buying this house and I'm doing the research and I'm reading it, well, this may be advertised as a multifamily, but you cannot rent this out until you go before this board again and legally do it. So if it has expired, so say people had it, they sold it to somebody else, and then that person sells it and never renewed the application, then it's notice to everybody that that's no longer a permitted ADU.
Right. It would be, say for instance, a standard condition in any kind of accessory dwelling unit going forward.
Where's that condition going to be documented?
Within the special permit, if the zoning board.
But should we have any, does there need to be something in our rules or regulations or the zoning bylaw that if the new owner does not resubmit or whatever the right phrase is, or that there shall be language in the registry documentation that it expires upon sale of the house?
So,
I just want something that's legal, that the new owners are aware that you got it, that there's something in a deed that if you don't extend it, this right disappears.
sure, I mean, all your decisions are legal documents, they get recorded, the registry, so you do have that. If you're looking for something separate, like.
I
yeah.
guess,
I think I know what you're saying, Kate, and I think that.
because it's not like,
But there's still-
we say, this, when we do a decision, that the estates
But
rule,
I'll
the
tell you, I
states
think-
rules say it expires in
Or
3
some-
years,
right.
but there's nothing
Yeah.
comparable.
Or something.
Well, it isn't a decision that gets recorded,
Yeah.
because I've done this, but I think what you're looking for is that, Joe sells his house, he moves, and the new person doesn't renew it, Well, it's not like the building commissioner's gonna start knocking on the door, you didn't renew this, how many people are living here?
Yeah.
I mean, unless we start policing that, which I don't wanna do, I don't know that there's, beyond expecting people to be honest, and, you know, attorneys and mortgage companies saying, well, if you're gonna use this as a rental property, you must make sure this is done.
I guess, I guess,
In some of your other decisions, I guess, there has been, you know, like a condition of approval that says that it needs to be referenced in the deed, so perhaps that could be another.
But again, I don't know.
wait, I know what it is. It's, I guess when they do their order of conditions, they always say that this is because of section blah, blah, blah of the zoning bylaw, so it's referenced, I guess, within that decision, and somebody who's smart enough goes and reads section blah, blah, blah of the zoning bylaws.
I mean, I don't know that we can put teeth into it, and I think that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. You know, we can certainly give notice, and I think notice is given when decisions are recorded.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that, doing that needed to be somehow codified or.
I mean, at least this option here at least gives an option for the ADUs to continue, because theoretically you're supposed to file for a new special permit every time they sell. Does that happen now? Probably not, but.
I guess I'm thinking, is there a number C, like,
But again, we're
if
trying,
condition A and B are not met, then this is terminated?
but I thought a big part of the intent here was to make it a lot easier, where
Yeah.
all they have to do is
Right.
send an affidavit to the zoning board of appeals, and it's,
Right.
that was the whole point, is we're making it easier for people to be compliant.
Correct.
And not lapse into, you know,
Right,
negligence.
and having to continuously file for new special permits when no changes is being
Right.
made.
Do we want to talk about the plot plan?
So, yeah, so.
Sure.
Sound like we want to go do strongly advised, on the,
I was just throwing it out there
Encourage
as
slash
maybe a
required.
middle ground.
I would say, actually, getting on that one, I would just say get rid of that. Why even say we advise? There's no other condition on here that's advising anything. I mean, as Mike said, when they go to their application, it's gonna be, you have to get Board of Health approval.
Yeah.
so maybe it just means applicants are
Yeah.
to seek Board of Health review prior to making an application?
I mean, that's really just not even,
I mean, and I know why it's there, right? Because how many times do people go before and do all this work, and then Board of Health shuts them down? So I think it's good that they go talk to Board of Health, or they realize, okay, I can do this, but I can spend another $60,000 in septic work.
That's how I'm looking at it, is
Right, so-
it's something that somebody in this situation, they're likely to read this, and if it's a little bit of a helpful, like, hey, before you go too far down this road, why don't you go talk to the Board of Health, make sure they're gonna be good with it, otherwise they could, I mean, we always talk about like trying to spare them the expense,
Sure,
and the
I agree.
burden of that, I mean, I'm just looking at it as a friendly guardrail, I guess. I agree with you guys on premise. I'm just like, I mean, does it hurt anything to leave it in there and just say, hey, we're giving you the early heads up that you should probably talk to them because they have the ability to shut your whole plan down, right?
Bob has a comment.
Bob?
So, yeah, so I have two comments here. That's one of my comments. As written now, with the trimmed down language in section 333, number 3 for Board of Health, it says nothing about the Board of Health approving the plan, and that concerns me. It just says they have to review it. I think we need something a little stronger here, that the Board of Health must approve.
Well, they do anyway, Bob, in order to get a building permit. So again, I don't know that any of that should be part of this. So Board of Health's not gonna sign off any type of permit unless they've reviewed the plans and agree that the septic system or whatever is gonna handle what's going on there.
I understand, it's just the way it's written here. It just says they have to seek review. It doesn't say anything else.
Right. I mean, I'm fine with encouraged, but, you know.
encouraged is fine, just,
And
Yeah.
while I have the floor, the other comment I had, we kind of skipped through the section before I could insert myself here, but when I read section 334, number 1, it just references the board, and I think we should call out the Board of Appeals to be clear in that section, and that would follow the rest of the style and the rest of this bylaw, where the Board of Appeals is explicitly called out when it's referenced.
Yep, I think that's a good catch.
Yeah.
So that is just, I guess, the mortgage inspection plan versus plot plan. board has a strong opinion? Do you want to wait until this potentially comes for time for a public hearing, for getting on special town meeting?
I would say certified plot plan is required for any alteration or any of the existing dwelling, or if they're constructing an accessory dwelling. But if there's no change to the current structure and no additional structure, then I don't know that we need a certified plot plan.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on, let me just.
Yeah.
Are they just saying, above certified plot plan, it says an application for a special permit shall be governed by the following procedures. But affidavit, certification by affidavit shall be provided that in every calendar year, 1 or 2. I mean, would it cover us if we, in the affidavit section, we said something to the effect of a certified plot plan is not required when submitting an affidavit for renewal of an existing unaltered ADU? You know what I mean?
So this is for the initial application, though, right? For this is a special
Yeah.
permit. This isn't for the renewal.
But if you, but number 3, if you scroll down to the next page,
Yep.
they have this affidavit section
Okay.
in there. So
Yep.
I'm like, it's kind of like we're mixing two things. I agree with you.
agree with
you know
that.
what I mean?
Yep.
It's like it's like, well, wait a minute. The affidavit is only when you're basically it's transferred to a new owner. Nothing potentially has changed.
Right.
Right. And you're just saying you can submit an affidavit that nothing has changed. And right. Or am I misunderstanding that?
No,
Joe?
this affidavit is a different affidavit.
Yeah, so-
You mean in 333?
I have an existing,
334.
Yeah, that's an affidavit that the owner is still living
Yeah,
there
so
more
when-
than half of the year.
Ah, okay,
so when
gotcha.
the
Yeah.
ADU is first being proposed.
Got
So
it. Sorry,
Yeah, that's not the, yeah.
my bad.
Yeah,
And he has to confirm every year that
Every year.
he's still
Yep.
a Massachusetts resident.
the only reason I could think they'd want a plot plan if there's no exterior alteration would be to see parking.
Good point.
That's the only reason I.
Well, I think though, they're gonna bring plans in, right? So, renderings. So I mean, I see it as, I don't wanna say that it's, you know, I see it as them looking to see if there's been any changes, and maybe they don't have the records in their file from before, right? And somebody did something that they didn't get a permit for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And just looking to catch stuff like that, but, again,
That's
if we're trying to
that's
make it easier for people and less expensive and more streamlined, if you're not changing your outside or anything, it's an expense, you know, and it's time consuming.
Yeah, I agree. If there's nothing exterior, like changing the parking or changing the exterior.
Expanding the footprint,
Yeah.
you know, I concerned about encroachment if you're putting buildings in or stuff like that, for
Yeah.
sure.
But if,
Well-
if the impervious, whatever, no, I wouldn't say it that way, yeah.
So you'd like to keep that section?
Well, only if it's gonna be exterior alteration to the
Yeah.
building, right?
Right.
Right, it would be if no exterior construction is proposed, so no addition.
No, it's required if exterior,
The way the
Shall be-
zoning board proposed it would be to strike it, so a certified plot plan would be required in all circumstances.
Right. No matter what.
and we're saying it
If
would
you-
only be required if
If there's an addition, say.
if there's an addition or change outside existing footprint, or how would you say that, so that it includes parking and stuff?
Let's see.
Or you could have a second sentence, a plot plan is not required if all work will occur within the interior of existing structures.
Yep.
Or just take the period out after parking. This is, this requirement, this is, no, I don't know. So take out the period if any exterior construction is proposed.
That, but say they're gonna recite or something,
You don't need, oh, right.
or put in a new window, you don't,
Need a certified, that's correct, yeah.
yeah. So I think having a second sentence makes it easier.
I agree.
You don't necessarily come up with it tonight.
Yeah, but you know, a second sentence that's, this is not required if
Mhm.
all work is to the interior of existing structures.
Because
That-
there's no changes to the exterior, what's a plot plan gonna show? It's not gonna show you the interior, the configuration of the rooms and where the,
Well, maybe they have to bring in a new electric line or cable or
I
something.
don't know, location of the septic field and leaching field, is that, I don't know, is that something that would matter with setting up an ADU potentially?
No, if they're not expanding outside, what does it matter? Right? You obviously want to know if you're going to put an addition on where everything is.
Well, what if they're reconfiguring the inside to have like more bedrooms or
Well,
something?
that would go through Board of Health review anyway.
Anyway.
And you'd
okay.
have to show the septic, new
And the
septic
Title
on.
5 would have to be done and we have the
Yeah.
drawings.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had one other comment then. So I did find, so section 335, the section header is conditions for issuance and renewal of special permits, but given the way that it's now written, it seems like it's just renewal. It's conditions
Yeah.
just for the renewal of permits. It doesn't
Yeah.
really have anything to do with the issuing of permits. That's covered in the earlier section, right?
right.
Yep, good catch.
All right. So did you get our feedback then on the certified plot plan thing sufficient to?
So I think, you know, at this point, I think that's really kind of the only outstanding item.
Yep.
So if the board was agreeable, we could look to get the public hearing process started.
Sure.
Yep.
Be in September.
Yep.
And between now and then, were you thinking cap on, how you might want to have that last sentence
Yep.
in there?
Sure.
And we'll get the public hearing process started.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, you could even phrase it like for the exterior, for the plot plan thing, meaning that there'll be no external changes as a result of the ADU. And external changes being a new leach field or a new garage or something like that. If those things are happening, then maybe the plot plan should be required. But if there's no exterior change as a result of adding the ADU, there should be no reason for a plot plan.
Good suggestion.
But again, what's exterior changes? Like I said, if they put in a new window or re-side,
I wouldn't think that would.
that's an
plot plan
exterior,
like a
that's an exterior
Right.
change.
Right. I'm sure Joe and Jeff will come
Yeah.
up with something, but
He knows what
we're
we
thinking.
want.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a vote to start the public hearing process.
Sure. Is there a motion to begin the public hearing process for the accessory dwelling units at an upcoming planning board meeting in, you want to start in September? September?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second to begin the public hearing process for accessory dwelling unit changes to the zoning bylaws. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Great. The last item in our agenda this evening is a review of draft minutes. And I guess we have,
3 sets.
it says we have 3 sets,
I'll
I only saw two.
but I only saw, yeah,
Ah,
I thought I only saw
Oh, there's
2.
nothing for the 18th.
Yeah, it's like minimal on the 18th.
Was there actually a meeting on the 18th?
Yeah, it's like one
so
page.
votes to.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
We'll
Okay.
have that for.
Oh, no, there was something, because it was only 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve the planning board meeting minutes of June 6th, 2022?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the minutes from June 6th?
I just had a correction on page 3 of 9, lines 129 to 132 should be condensed.
Okay. Any other discussion on the June 6th minutes?
Nope.
Bob?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor to approve the June 6th minutes say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Scrolling. Okay, the July 5th minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the July 5th, 2022 Planning Board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve July 5th. Any discussion?
Nope.
Bob, all set?
Yep, all set.
All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
I actually had one question on this. So there is a cistern there, right? This is,
Yes.
Yep.
yeah, it's okay, okay. Good. I have no other questions then. Good.
Fire is signed off on it.
Yeah, okay.
You say aye.
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you.
Good job, Mike.
Okay, and the meeting minutes from July 18th, a very intense meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from July 18th?
So moved. Bob has to second.
Bob, second it.
Or I can second. I'll second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Abstain.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Abstain.
I say aye. Correspondence reports and updates.
So this is just a change just for the board's awareness. There was an inquiry about trying to change the pavement width out of Pacific Lane. Ultimately, the fire department was not in favor of such a change. So the applicant decided to not try to proceed with coming in front of the board to ask that. So it was just to make you all aware of the conversations that were being had about that.
Excellent.
I'm so glad because I can remember all the discussion we had about road width. And that was a big issue.
Great.
So, thank you.
Awesome.
I guess just maybe under this section as well, I don't know, it's most appropriate. But just we have been going back and forth with the applicants on 504 Groton Road. It does seem like at this point they've satisfied all engineering's comments, so I don't know for the 15th if you would want to look at draft decisions for that or not.
Which one is it?
504 Groton, that's a Packard Machinery.
Oh, yep. Okay.
So they have gone back and forth a couple times with engineering. They've come to consensus on that, so I think that was really the lingering item out there for that.
And we're seeing them in the next meeting?
And the 15th, so.
I move that we direct staff to start drafting a order of conditions for 504 Groton Road.
Order of conditions or a draft decision?
Draft decision,
Okay,
whatever.
great.
Second.
Motion and a second to ask town staff to create a draft decision for
504.
504 Groton Road. Thank you. All those in favor, and there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Okay.
And I look forward to the discussion on the other thing in our,
MS4 stormwater permit, yeah.
yeah.
They, at this point, just wanted to get a quick letter just by way of update, but I think the engineering department sometime in the fall will be able to provide a more comprehensive update for you.
Great. All right. We will look forward to that discussion. Excellent. Any
Motion to
other?
adjourn?
Well, I was going to say any other topics. Otherwise, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Bob?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
I say aye. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right.
Good evening.
So when is
So we
our
have